So let me ask you. Somebody says to you as you're headed out the door, "Don't worry, I brought an umbrella." Is that good news or bad news? I guess it's both at the same time, right? Or it's good news that is nested inside bad news. If somebody says to you, "Don't worry, I brought an umbrella," it's because it's raining outside and they are wanting you to be assured that you're not going to get soaked because they've brought the umbrella, the protection that you'll need from the rain. But it also means acknowledging it's raining. So for somebody to say, "Good news, don't worry, I brought an umbrella," they are telling you both bad news, it's probably raining or going to rain, and good news, but I'm offering this to you so that you will be kept safe too. You won't be alone. I've got an umbrella. It will protect. It will go with us, and it will bear the drops of rain falling from the sky. To hear that sentence, "Don't worry, I've brought an umbrella," is to be able to hear good news that comes in the midst of bad news, a reality of what's going on outside, and also the assurance of somebody saying, "But I'll go through it with you." That's kind of the way I hear Jesus on the last night he's got with his disciples. In the passage we're going to be taking a look at this coming Sunday from John 14. It's Jesus, sometimes called the upper room discourse. Jesus knows he's got hours until he heads to the garden where he will be arrested, put on trial. They are less than a day away from Jesus' death and burial after being put on a Roman execution stake. And so he knows it's his last chance to say things that he needs to say to them, or last chance for them to hear things that they're going to need to hear. And so Jesus says words that are meant to be words of comfort and assurance. Things like, "My peace I leave with you. My peace I'm giving to you. Don't let your hearts be afraid. I'm sending you the advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom God the Father is going to send in my name, who will be with you, who will help you, who will remind you of all I've taught you, who will enable you to face the world." That's kind of like Jesus saying, "Don't be afraid. I brought my umbrella." It's an acknowledgement that things are about to change for Jesus and for his disciples. For years, maybe 3 years or so, Jesus and his inner circle of followers have had him to literally talk to in the room when there was a question or a worry. What are we going to do next, Jesus? How do we handle this situation? Jesus was there with them, and Jesus is now preparing them for how things are going to change. For Jesus, he knows, even if they only have a dim idea, that the cross is in front of him, and then it's going to feel like their whole world has come undone. It's going to feel like the world got yanked out from under them. It's going to feel like they are caught in a terrible, violent storm and have no means of protection. And here Jesus says, yes, things are going to change, but I'm telling you now, I'm giving you my peace. I'm giving you an advocate, someone to be with you, to stand with you. The beauty of the word Jesus uses is this image of someone who's called alongside you, like a defense attorney in a courtroom, like a close friend who is there both to give advice and to go through things with you, like an umbrella that bears the brunt of whatever is coming down outside and accompanies you along the way. Those are important, powerful, and comforting words, but we also got to acknowledge that, like the sentence, "Don't worry, I brought my umbrella," it's only good news if we're able to admit it comes in the context of there's going to be reasons we'll need Jesus' peace out in the wider world where we are sent. We're going to need an advocate because sometimes it feels like we have no clue how to face difficult situations or questions or issues on our own. We're going to need Jesus' abiding, ongoing presence through the Spirit. And we're going to need to know we're not alone. So, just the same way that I brought an umbrella is good news that comes with the acknowledgement there's a reason you're going to need an umbrella. When Jesus says, "I'm giving you peace," but it's different than the world's kind of peace. It's going to mean we're headed out into a world that is still full of an awful lot of strife and violence and hatred and enmity in all sorts of different ways. You and I could spend all day long listing off all the different kinds of division and hatred and violence around us. Half a world away, as a war unfolds between Ukraine and Russia as Russians invade, the war crimes and atrocities we hear about day by day from the news, the violence, the domestic terrorism that's unfolding in our own communities and in our own place, and the tension that we feel between us and our neighbors and one another. It's difficult. We feel like we are trapped in a world where it is constantly storming this tension, this hatred, this anxiety that's around us all the time. And we can either just be completely paralyzed by it and sort of frozen in fear or numbness, or what am I going to do? The world is terrible out there. And sometimes our temptation is to say that the point of being Christian, the point of the church, is to have a place to hide from all of it, just to stay indoors. And Jesus doesn't leave us that option. He doesn't say, the good news I've got for you, disciples, is the world's going to be terrible, but you guys just hunker down under the steeple and all the storms will pass you by. He instead imagines we're going to be out in the midst of the world as an alternative, as people who live out Jesus' kind of peace, who refuse to answer evil with evil, who refuse to answer more hatred with more hatred, who are willing to take a look at the tensions and anxieties inside ourselves so that they can be brought to healing and restoration, and to be people who work and live for and embody Jesus' kind of peace. Now that's going to sound scary because the world around us is not terribly interested in that. Sometimes it feels like the loud voices around us are only interested in stoking more division so that we will watch more screens as they tell us the stories of that division or provoke us to be madder and madder at each other. The world around us has a vested interest in keeping the drama up, in us finding ways to hate each other or find somebody else to scapegoat. So Jesus' kind of peace really is different and is something the world deeply needs, even if it doesn't admit it. What we need is the courage to be able to go out into the messiness, the difficulty, the hatred and anxiety and violence of the world as an alternative, and to know we aren't going alone. We need, in other words, an umbrella for a day when it's raining. We need an advocate who goes with us, and not just sort of silently, but in the days when we go, I don't know how to face this situation. What does it look like to be the people of God who encounter this situation that we don't have a Bible verse about, or this kind of question that we don't have a simple pat answer for? We need the presence of God's own Spirit, that same breath that was breathed out like wind over creation in the beginning and brought everything to life. That Spirit is exactly who and what we need to be with us. But we should be honest. The promise Jesus gives us is not, you guys get to stay indoors forever, so no matter what rain is pouring down outside, you guys will be inside. But rather, he sends us out into the world where it's raining and says, peace be with you. Don't let your hearts be troubled. I brought my umbrella. I'm giving you mine. I promise. The same God who's been with you and me, Jesus says, is the one who will be present with you by the Spirit. That's the conversation we're going to be having this coming Sunday, rain or shine, and we invite you to be a part of it. See you Sunday.